What's Hawaii's weather like in August? You know, lots of people ask about the weather in Hawaii. It's one of the most frequently asked questions. And I'm going to give you a live report because right now it's August in Hawaii. But you're not just going to get the view of what I think about August right now. You're going to really get the longer term view. You're going to get the view of someone who's lived through August since the 80s. So stay tuned. Aloha, I'm Peter Kay, and I connect with people that want to live in Hawaii. So if that's you, you want to subscribe to this channel and click on the notification. I come out with videos every other week. So what's it like in August? Well, you can make this the shortest video you've ever watched. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. Bye-bye. I do this every month, but it's true. It's perfect. Hawaii's weather is absolutely perfect. Now, each month I go into a little bit of a different aspect of Hawaii's weather. So not just about what's going on in August, but you know, what is it about Hawaii's weather? So if you haven't seen the other videos on the other months, you definitely want to look at those because it'll give you a full picture of what Hawaii's weather is truly like all year long. Now this month, I'm going to be talking about hurricanes. August is the start of hurricane season. So you definitely want to hang in there until we talk about the hurricanes and what it's like and etc. for hurricanes in Hawaii. August is the month where Hawaii is probably one of the cooler temperature-wise, it's also the coolest, but cooler temperature-wise states in the country. You know, lots of states in the US during August, you know, get into the 90s. And of course some, you know, get into 100. Hawaii, no such thing. If I checked out the weather forecast for 10 days, and amazingly, for 10 days, it was every single one of those 10 days, it was 83 degrees as the high, 75 degrees as the low, every day. That's Hawaii. That's Hawaii's perfection. It's like July in terms of its perfection. It's summer. So I've got a link in the description to the July talk where I could go into details about the perfection of Hawaii summers, and you want to check that out. For those next 10 days, 3 are mostly sunny, 6 are partly cloudy, and 1 is cloudy. Now today, I know what you call it, cloudy, partly cloudy, I'm not too sure. It's a beautiful day. And right now I'm looking at my outside temperature gauge in my car. It says 85, and it is noon. We are in high noon right now. So this would be, you know, one of the hottest times of the day. And you know, you can see it's absolutely perfect. I would say that August is air conditioner month. Yeah, I mean, the weather's perfect, but you know, for example, I have an office that I can open the doors and windows, and that's how I get all of my natural cooling circulation. However, in August, I find myself at sometimes what I'll do is around 11 o'clock as the hot sun is coming up, around 11 o'clock, I'll put the AC on, the air conditioner on, and I'll keep it on till about 3:30, and then I'll shut it off. So that, you know, that hot time of the day from 11 to 3:30 or so, I got some AC on. And at night, we find ourselves at home. We'll put the air conditioner on at night to go to bed, and then kind of in the middle of the night when, you know, if one of us gets up, we'll shut the air conditioner off and let the night coolness come through the house. But I call it air conditioner month. Again, it's 85 degrees at high noon. You know, this is not hot. But if you're sitting in an office, you don't want to sweat, etc., right? So what about the surf? Surf, North and West Shores are flat. It's characteristic for the North and West Shores. During the summer months, there is no surf comes on those shores. East is small. It's small, typically small, because the winds are very light. Not a lot of winds going on in August, and so East Shores don't get hit that much, except when there's a hurricane. South Shore catches something. So the South Shore gets those south swells, those occasional south swells that come from the southern hemisphere. They'll come up and they'll hit the South Shore. So there will be a swell. You kind of watch the surf reports, and the South gets hit with those swells. Now, like we said, August is the start of hurricane season. So we just had a couple weeks ago, third week of July, Hurricane Douglas came through. And man, we thought for sure it was gonna hit Oahu. So what I did is I recorded a video about hurricanes in Hawaii and what it's like. This was before, a few days prior to the hurricane coming. So I thought it'd be a good thing to include in this video. So let's watch that now. Today is Thursday, the 23rd of July, and they say it's gonna hit landfall by Sunday. So we're just a few days away. And so I thought I'd try to capture the moment for you to give you a sense of what it's like. So the first thing is, we're kind of used to it. I mean, like a lot of other hurricane states like Florida, etc., we're used to it. You know, I mean, we're not pros at it, but we're used to it. It's hurricane season. So we're used to kind of getting those hurricane warnings. We're used to kind of seeing the hurricane reports, and we're used to kind of following it. So on one hand, you know, here it comes again. This year is a little bit different. This is 2020, and right now we're still in the midst of this COVID-19 epidemic. So I think the difference is, you know, there's maybe a silver lining over here, and the silver lining is that we kind of already stocked up, you know? We've already gone to, you know, we've already made our runs. We've already gone to Costco, went to Costco a long time ago. You know, I've got my toilet paper. You know, I've got the water. We're stocked up on food. I got 20 pounds of rice. You know, I got my Spam. There's really, you know, the good news is I don't have to go to Costco. I was kind of going through my list again. It's like, yeah, no, we're good. We're good. I must say, hurricanes are really stressful. For me, I've got this sort of this OCD part of me where, you know, as soon as you know, there's the first mention of a tropical storm in the Pacific or whatever, you know, I start tracking it on the National Weather Service, and I start posting updates, you know, on social media, and I'm following this thing. You know, we get updates 3 times a day, and I think what's really stressful about hurricanes is that you get like plenty of warning. So you've got all these days to build up anticipation, and you look for every update, and every update is it getting stronger? Which way is it going? Is it going towards us? Is it building? Is it weakening? Is it going away from us? You know, it's like a 3 times a day update, early in the morning, afternoon, and then late afternoon. And that, even though I'm sort of somewhat obsessed with it, it's stressful. So I really noticed that over the years, especially in the later years in my life, that stress level is much higher than it used to be. For some reason, when I was young, I mean, young and stupid, I just kind of didn't care much. Maybe after I had kids and we had family and I got older, and those things kind of mattered more. And nowadays it's like, wow, mega stress level. I think one of the other things is that in Hawaii, I don't think we have a lot of confidence of our fundamental infrastructure. And with this COVID thing, I must say we're not terribly confident with our government. We've always been sort of suspicious of the government side. And, you know, there's an underlying thing that we kind of feel that things are hanging by a thread. For example, Hawaii's electrical infrastructure. You know, we have power outages normally, you know, on a bad windy day. You know, if it's really windy outside, you guarantee the power is going to go out. You know, you're like, well, you know, if we can't handle a windy day, you know, how on earth are we going to handle a hurricane, right? So that kind of adds to the stress level. You know, we don't have sufficient shelters, for example. There used to be a lot more shelters available, but they've closed down a lot of them. For example, there was a school, elementary school in our area, which was a hurricane shelter, but it's now been shut down. I don't exactly know why, but I think one of the reasons might be because when they redrew the flood zone mapping, the school was determined to be in a flood zone. So if the school's in a flood zone, not going to be a good idea to make it a hurricane shelter. Although to me, it's not in an area that gets flooded, but it is what it is. It's not available to us. So, you know, that's makes it a little bit scary. It's pretty much, you know, batten down the hatches and pray. You know, also people, because we've not been hit with hurricanes, we're not there well prepared. So, you know, people don't have the, you know, the hurricane-proof shutters and the hurricane-proof houses, and, you know, we're not the kind of place that has withstood hurricanes. I mean, Oahu I don't know historically when the last time Oahu had a hurricane that came over the island. We had some close calls, never had a hurricane. So it's kind of like, you know, we've never really had one. So we're kind of like unprepared for one. We've also had a lot of false alarms, so we're kind of complacent at the same time. There's a lot of these overlapping things that, don't give you a good sense of confidence. The homes aren't hurricane proof. A lot of the homes in Hawaii are older homes, and they were built back in the 50s, and back then they were built with single wall construction. That means that there's just one, typically a redwood, a plank, and that's the wall of the house. It's very thin. So these homes are like shacks, and just with a little puff of the air, they're gonna go down. So all those things kind of contribute and make it a stressful situation. And I think the COVID thing's making it more complicated. Because what happens if we do get hit and we do have to go to whatever shelters we have to go to? What then? Are we going to crowd ourselves all together, everybody with COVID? And is that going to spread? That's really adding to a lot of stress. So all that stuff, creates a stressful situation. So what we do in Hawaii is, we batten down our hatches as best we can. We go get our supplies because we've done it before. We get our supplies ready. We watch those reports. We see that thing coming, and then we pray. We pray. And, we've been very lucky on Oahu, very, very lucky. What ends up happening with a lot of the hurricanes on Oahu now, so this is not the other islands. The Big Island kind of always catches the brunt of it. And because the hurricanes typically go from east to west, so the Big Island usually gets it first. Whatever they're going to get, whether it's hurricane or whether it's high winds or high rain or whatever, Big Island always catches the brunt of it. And shout out to my Big Island peeps. What happens is a lot of times the hurricanes hit the Big Island, and then the Big Island breaks it up. And then it kind of goes away, and then it drifts as heavy rains over Maui. Maui gets it next, and then kind of, by the time it's gone through, if it goes that way, it goes to the Big Island, then it goes to Maui, and by the time if it's gone over all those islands, by the time it comes up to Oahu, it's kind of broken up. The other way it goes, this is the way that Iniki went, and to a lesser degree, Iwa, was they go south of the island chain. And then, Iniki was amazing. It was south of the island chain, then it made a right turn and went straight north. So it went east, then made a right turn and went straight north over Kauai. It's like wham! And bam, Kauai gets it. So Kauai gets it in those senses. Yeah, it was really trippy when Douglas came through. We thought for sure it was going to hit Oahu. If you look at the map, the tracks, it was like almost making a beeline for Oahu. And then it was bizarre because it's almost like it kind of went around us at the last minute. I mean, we had the sirens on and everything. It was like, it's coming, get ready, final preparations, here it comes, folks. Closest, and apparently, historically, this is the closest a hurricane has ever come to Oahu, Hurricane Douglas. So I took a few videos, actually. I was gonna, try to document the whole thing, right? So on the morning of, it was going to come on Sunday morning, I believe. I took like this video here, just to kind of get you all ready. Here it goes. So it's 8:08 a.m. right now on Sunday, and it is the calm before the storm. It's get a couple of gusty winds, a couple of breezes, but nothing significant. All's pretty calm right now, pretty calm, and. But we know it's coming. We know it's going to be here around 2 o'clock, and right now I can go outside still. So, but I know I won't be able to do this in the future, so I'm going to be doing it from behind the glass. But notice how things are pretty calm. Nothing's moving around too much, and I know this is going to change. And then later, as the morning progressed into the afternoon, it started kind of kicking up the wind. So I thought, okay, here it comes. So I took another video in between. Okay, 1:49 p.m. Storm was scheduled to be here around 2. It is, but it's definitely much windier now. There is definitely much more gusts flying around. It's not as calm as it was when I made my last update. It's definitely a different feeling, and we'll see. It looks like it's tracking more northerly, so there's a chance that it's going to barely miss Oahu, which is good.
I also heard the reports that the northern part of the hurricane has the strongest winds, and we're going to be on the southern part of it, so that's another good benefit. So overall, things are positive, more positive than they were. So, but it's windier.
And then, so we're all hunkered down, this thing's coming, okay? And then we keep looking at the reports, and then like it went around at the last minute. And so I took this video at the end where it was nothing.
Well, it's 5:17 p.m. and we were supposed to be like under a raging hurricane right now, and it is still as can be. The wind has died down completely. It's muggy for sure. There's no trade winds and there's no rain. It's unbelievable. Miraculous. That's all I can say. It's like this thing was coming straight for us. It was coming straight for us, and we all prepared for it. And now it's not there. It's gone. Never even materialized. We never even had, I mean, that last video I took was the strongest, was the peak, and that wasn't that bad. So incredibly grateful. Incredibly grateful. Thank you, Lord.
On those hurricanes, we've been incredibly lucky in Hawaii for hurricanes. Since the 80s, get this, since the 80s, we've had 56 hurricanes or tropical storms that have come near the Hawaiian Islands, near. Out of those 56, only two hurricanes have caused damage to the Hawaiian Islands. Those two hurricanes was Hurricane Iwa in 1982 and Hurricane Iniki in 1992. Both of those hit Kauai. Iniki was by far the worst. I believe it was a Category 4, and the eye of Iniki went right over Kauai. That was like the worst. Hurricane Iwa came close, came close enough to Kauai to cause damage. The eye did not go over Kauai, but it came close enough to cause damage. So we've been extraordinarily lucky. So right now it's hurricane season. So it is a little bit time where, everyone's a little bit nervous. We're all watching those reports. We want to make sure that it's not gonna hit us. So yeah, that's about it for August, folks. Got a question for me? Click on the link in the description, enter your question. Make sure you leave your name and where you're from so I can give you credit when we play the video. I'm Peter K, and I'm living in Hawaii. Aloha.